So this is session 5 of 5. There are strange months throughout the calendar year when I'm able to get 5 sessions of a particular game in rather than 4. It has been a month of Sundays throughout the year. It's usually been the Sundays games that I've had 5s of. Anyway, this is Dungeon World. We are playing the Green Law of Varkith, as created by Brendan Conway. I set out to do this because this is one of the games I'm running at Gen Con. How we condense it down to one shot, Lordy Almighty, there we go. Anyway, so we are here. This is part of the Gauntlet Hangouts. You can find out more about that at gauntlet-rpg.com and check that out. Hey, you can also subscribe to my channel where I record lots of videos, and some of them even don't get borked by YouTube. Some of them actually go up. So like this one, hopefully. So we will see. So today we are taking up with the last session. We're kind of coming off our guild, having crushed another guild through various means, and we're going to take up in the aftermath of that. There are a number of different pieces on the table. We're not going to get to all of them. That's just a fact of the matter. But we're going to see what players want to engage with, what to explore today in this last session. Before we do that, we are going to check out the mechanical side of things, because I think that some players may have leveled up last time. If so, we're going to check in and see what was done with the various leveling ups. So, Patrick, let me start with Sig. Sig, did you level up?
Sig did not. I actually got 1 XP away from getting up to level 4. But I did go through and change all of my flags, so I'd like to talk about that for a second.
Oh, please do.
So, you know, I made Sig in the sort of like Terry Pratchett Discworld Ankh-Morpork sort of vibe of, I thought it would be funny to play the Templar of these like chaotic, horrible gods that was very sweet and nice, but also believed in these awful things. And that is one thing when those horrible, awful chaos gods are like, maybe they'll wake up someday in millennia or whatever's. It's a very different character to play when there's the distinct possibility of like the gods are waking up right now. And I realize we're not going to play through like that whole like the gods waking up and whatever sort of storyline, but it makes some very different implications in my head for the character. So I wasn't quite sure where I wanted to go with him, how I wanted to play that out. So I decided to play that out in flags and in the session, basically.
Okay.
So to play out my confusion and torn loyalties here, I have remind me of the beautiful, unique, or appealing aspects of Varkith, whether like you're intentionally trying to get me to change my mind or whether it's just something that happens without your character meaning to. Try to convince me that sometime in the future would be much more appropriate for an apocalypse than right now. And speak to me or around me of familial, religious, or cultural responsibilities that sort of pull me in that other direction of I should be doing the right thing for my people and my gods.
Okay. Okay. Those all sound good to me. Those all sound appropriate. Fam, it looks like you're just short. You did not level.
Is that a short joke? Because I'm pretty tall for a puka.
I know.
What? No, I did not make 4th level.
Okay. And Hexatroth did not hit 4th, right? You're weirdly muted. Can't hear you, Ruben. This happens from time to time. Google, you're unmuted. Yeah. Unfortunately, we can't hear you.
You may have to drop and rejoin.
Yeah. And Turiel, it looks like you are also just short now. But you did you hit 3 last time, or was that session before? Remind me.
I think I hit 3 last time.
Okay.
And I took Rocket Man, which allows me to be someplace really quickly with a roll plus dex.
Okay, I like that one. That is very cool. Well, we'll get Hexatroth back, and we'll go through this.
All right, take 2. Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely. There we go.
Okay. I was literally trying to say that I was going to stop right there because no one reached level 4.
Okay. Yes, so there we go. We've got Sig's new flags. We've got the old flags on the table. So let's talk about what you might want to do this session. Let me start with you, Rich. What's your feeling about what you'd like to do? Is there anything that you're like, oh, I would like to get to this today?
Well, it's pretty simple. Fam has been wanting to talk privately with Turiel for a while, and it just has never worked. It's always been work, and research, and we're being destroyed by an evil guild and all that good stuff. So a quiet bit of a moment for conversation between those two characters would be really fun.
Okay, that sounds good to me. Patrick, what about you?
I don't know. I'm sort of torn between whether I'd like to visit that old people's home / chaos god temple, or whether I'd like to seek out the heretical Visliga. I think maybe the old person's home. I think maybe it would be a little more before he would go find the rebel Visliga and get changed or whatever.
Turiel?
So I'm not certain. I think we talked about the. I'm trying to remember all the different plot lines that we have left, and we're not going to be able to hit them all. I know that we had the book that was a good travel away.
Mm-hmm.
And we had more information about the claw to see where the claw goes. I think I'm okay with just anything. Yeah.
Okay. No strong feelings in a particular direction. That is fair. And Hexatroth?
My only concern is how are we going to go from 0 to 100? That's my concern, because we have 2 leads that I'm thinking would really require that. By the way, you can hear me, right? Just double checking. Yeah. Okay. There's the one with the claw, where we're alluding that all the pieces will come together, and basically the warrior's going to come back. That seems like it would go from a 0 to 100 drama real quick. And the same thing with the books, the 3 books and that wizard that's currently in a grave in some tower somewhere, where it's like something bad is going to happen if you open all 3 books. I'm just a little concerned about how we can properly transition from a 0 to 100, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, I don't think you need to. I mean, that's not sort of the point of a game like this. But certainly we can allude and set things up. So I think that is a fair thing. So you would like to see one of those threads get pulled on more strongly?
I would say so.
Okay. Then I've got something for that.
Okay.
So how about we've got some small scenes, it sounds like, from people. So let's do those. And then I'll throw a couple of things related to this, and we can, or things may spin out from the various conversations and things. So let's try with that. Does that sound good for everybody?
Mm-hmm.
And if you and do make sure that if you're like, oh, I really want this scene, say so, and we'll work to get that in there. So we've cleaned up the mess. People on the streets are looking away from the Twilight Gallery. They're being, more careful in their speech and so on. They don't know how it all went down, but certainly this guild attacked you, and then they are no longer around. And things have gotten cleaned up, swept away. There is probably a guild of street cleaners for particularly noxious things that would have come and, hazmat, cleaned up Killick's greasy corpse from the front walkway and put that in buckets. And so that's all been taken care of. So we come back in, we see Molly. We see, she's working at the front. She's still nervous. She's got maybe some extra weaponry beside her. Lonsdale is inventorying the health potions that got taken. And your bugbear is looking for where you stashed the honey at this point. Maybe kind of mad-eyed at that. So let's take up with that scene between Fam and Turiel. Fam, where would you find Turiel?
Where would I find Turiel? I think Fam would. Does Turiel have a place of her own?
Yeah. So Turiel has like a little workshop, and it looks very, I'd say almost Arabian. Lots of scarves, lots of pillows around, and everything like that. And she's tinkering with crystals and kind of working on them. They're kind of scattered around on the floor.
Fam would walk in, whistling, carrying a bunch of bread from a particular bakery. It's gone on sale. If someone found some cat hair in it or something, and it hasn't done terribly well for the last week or so. So,
hey, be careful! Don't step on that.
Oh,
that's important. Yeah.
Oh,
if you want to, you can sit right there. Sit right there.
Fam goes over to the stool and sits on the stool, and then it's uncomfortable. So Fam climbs up to put her feet on the top of the stool and just kind of squats down and eats some of the bread. Do you eat bread, Turiel? Do you eat bread?
I do. Yeah.
She hops down and daintily walks around all of the crystals and says, "I got an extra loaf. There you go." And it's like one of those big round loaves you could almost make a soup bowl out of, and kind of reach in, and it's very yeasty, doughy in the middle, but then there's that hard outer shell, and it's kind of like they've twisted it almost like they're making some kind of giant, I don't know, twisted bakery thing. There you go. I'm very technical with my bread knowledge, guys. I studied up for this. I'm not struggling at all. And then
it's a tasty pastry. That's all anyone needs to know.
Thank you. Yes. It's glazed with some kind of butter, and then Fam will scamper back over and crawl up on top of the stool and sit down again.
Mm-hmm. So what brings you here, Fam?
I don't know much about your people. Curious about your people.
Well, you probably know the basics. We were slaves like you until we weren't.
Were you ever one, or just the people before?
The people before me, they brought me across through what they had learned from the people here. So, but I'd watched, from my home, what had happened here.
Are any of the people watching you now?
Oh yeah. We love this place. This is lots of fun to watch.
So people are watching you? Does that feel weird?
No, it's just always happened. People are watching you too, Fam. The Fam story might be really popular back home.
Wow. That's really weird. You've never watched me.
Well, no, I've been here since since I've known you.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Do you feel? I know that you're just inhabiting your body, but right?
Yeah. I mean, I feel just like everyone else. I mean, yeah, sure.
Taken by a moment, Fam will scamper over again, dancing around the different crystals, and hop up onto the table where you're working, and just kind of squat down. So she reaches over and kind of runs slightly, she pulls back her little claws, right? And so it's this the soft pad of fur and draws it across your forearm. So that you feel that. Like, I guess you've never felt like I felt, but you feel that kind of like you would imagine that I feel that?
Well, these bodies have been constructed and they feel just like everything else. So, yeah, sure. I feel the touch, I feel the pain, I feel all of that. Sure.
Oh, the pain? Why would you do that? That seems dumb.
I think positive comes with negative. So if there was no pain, there'd be no pleasure. So you get the whole package.
She sits back and crosses her arms. I don't know if I buy this, Turiel. I feel pleasure without any pain, and it's pretty great.
Well, you'll just have to trust me.
I do.
Okay.
Okay. Well, enjoy your bread.
And I think Tuvio, one of the little crystalline companions, comes in and sets some crystals down on the floor and starts rearranging them.
Fam watches that.
And Turiel kind of turns to Fam and says, "No, that one's not to be played with. That one studies for me."
Well,
I can see that look in your eye.
She hops off of the workbench and goes back over to the stool and starts eating some of the bread. I wasn't gonna break it. I wouldn't break any of your. Are they little friends? Do they have other people's souls in them, or are they just stuff?
Oh no, they're just stuff. They're just made to look things up and everything. There's no souls. Yeah. My people keep the secret of how to inhabit souls inside of bodies like these very, very carefully. So I don't know. I mean, I'm just kind of studying. So, yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting that like you have servitors, but your people were slaves. That's interesting.
These aren't really servitors. They're more like tools. Tools that move around. Like you and I think at that point Turiel kind of hovers up off the ground a little bit and says, like, my boots, right? I do something with these and I move. And that one over there was made to look things up and pass me information.
Does it understand what it's passing you?
Does it understand? Well, it knows what I've looked, what I've asked it, and it can communicate with its twin about that information, but it's not, it's not looking up information for itself.
Have you ever asked it to look up information for itself?
I had to ask it to look up information on how to repair itself, which it did. Yeah. Does that count?
I think so. Maybe. Okay. I'm okay. Okay. I should go.
Okay. Well, it was a pleasure talking to you, Fam.
Same here. Nice boots. And then she stuffs some bread and then hops off the stool and will scamper away.
So let's cut from there. So tell me, Patrick, this place, this church of the Convergent Armageddon, this Visliga retirement home, what do you think is sort of the central like motif of the decorations here? Is it paintings? Is it frescoes? Is it mosaics? Do the Visliga even have visual depictions of things? You're muted.
Curses. I think maybe it's like a it's on the edge of Varkith, either on like a promontory on the island, or like just a little rock right off of it, or whatever, sort of a lighthouse type setup.
Okay.
But it's it's not, well, it may be shining a light for something, but that would be unpleasant. But it's more of a monasterial setup, and I think the decoration, it's very like weather-worn stone on the outside, with algae and stuff growing up on it. But I think on the inside they have some method, slightly magical, whatever, of growing coral here.
Nice.
In the air, sort of thing. So all of the walls are lined with these like coral reefs, formations that make these swirls and chaotic patterns. It's something that will like pop out to your mind for a moment, but then it fades as soon as you turn your head and try and look back, sort of thing.
And you have come here to speak to Ascending, correct?
Yes.
So
the Templar Paladin sort of guy.
So they will say, "Oh, Ascending. Oh, okay, we'll take you to him. Just be careful."
Okay, careful.
And they don't say any more. They take you into a chamber. Again, everything here has that sort of, even though it's not underwater, has that kind of aquatic feeling in terms of the light and such. I assume that's some artificiality done here. And you will see this aged Visliga, with, the skin is kind of gone that sort of bright red of age, and it has the tentacles that come down, and has, on its outfit, sort of sigils and signs and markings. And you can see where there are sort of cataracted eyes there, sort of the black shark-like eyes that have got cataracts on them, and it's blinded. And the figure will turn, and it will say, "Oh, good. I am so glad that you came to visit me."
Brother Ascending, have we met?
No, but I don't get many visitors.
Trying to follow where his eye line is. It's very confusing.
Come and sit.
All right. Yes, I have been looking forward to speaking with you.
Would you like some tea?
I would love some tea. That would be very...
Ah, yes then. Please. These leaves are gathered from the finest ports in the distance. You must take it with sugar. That will sweeten the deal.
Yes, I suppose I will make it. There's a pot over... the sugar you demanded.
Yes.
Suggested?
Yes. Now, I like mine very sweet. 3 lumps for me.
3. I will exactingly sugar your tea. Just give me a moment. I'll be over...
Yes. Ah, yes.
So you just sit there and make satisfied mutterings. What? I didn't know. It was just I was heating
in the
water.
Cabinet below. Quickly.
Yeah.
Yes.
What?
We'll
cabinet?
find a box. There are cookies there, delightful in shape, and I've been told they are multicolored as well. Yes, bring them too. We will have the cookies with the tea. Yes.
Oh yes. Oh, I see the square one here. Oh yes. Well, I mean they're rather crisp, aren't they? don't have very many visitors, do you?
Oh, no, I don't. They do get a wee bit stale.
Well, we could just dip them in the tea, you know. That would.
Oh,
Unless
what a
that's.
refreshing concept.
I'm glad to. Okay, I think the tea's ready here.
Ah, good. Bring it to me.
Yes, I was bringing it to you. Is this tray all right?
Oh, yes. That tray is perfect.
Good.
And he'll take the tea and he'll take one of the cookies. He kind of reaches out for it and he dips it in it and oh, this is why did this not occur to me before?
Well, I
so
suppose. Oh.
Why have you come here to visit me?
Oh, well, I was seeking your wisdom and advice / threatening orders.
Oh, I have much of that to give you. What is it you wish to know about?
Well, you see, and I'll go into a description of the dream that I had, the sort of confused, murky sending from the ancient gods, and how it led to this quest down under the city to find this crystal claw, and how I'd had these visions of the other parts of it, and I was troubled, and I didn't understand where they were coming from. None of it seems to be surfacing in my mind. It's all buried and dark, and I don't understand what my place in this is.
You wish to know your place in this?
Yeah, I feel like I just said that.
We are, I can tell from the very presence that you give me, we are Templars. We serve what is to come.
Oh, yes, I suppose I didn't introduce myself. You're just very off-putting when I came in. Sig, please call me Sig.
Off-putting?
What? No.
Why would you call me off-putting?
Well, it's just I work with so many heathens all day. It's refreshing, really, is what I should have said, to encounter true faith and animosity again.
I have existed for many years. I have fought for our people since I rose up from the depths. And my faith has been tested. And I will tell you now that there is no one true way.
What about prophecies and destiny?
Prophecies are shaped by those who seize their days. I speak heresy, but
I didn't want to say.
Yes, you know, you would have said heresy. I know that was coming, wasn't it?
It's on the tip of my tentacles.
Fair enough. You are young. You must find that path. You must choose what you preserve and protect or destroy. What do you care about?
Well, I
Tell
obviously
me.
care about the coming of the ancient ones. That's what all of the teachings say, and what I've learned. It's what I've devoted my life to. Also, this place with, I mean, like, the receptionist is really nice, and we have this bugbear that we just hired. I mean, the wallpaper is barely used. It would be a shame to rip everything down into its component parts and rebuild a new reality on top of it. Right now, the rent is fixed and just very... Are you still awake? You've not threatened me in several minutes.
Yes, you have your answer before you. Now I will give it to you in a concise, condensed form.
Oh, that would be much appreciated.
The end times will come. We know that. All will die. All will be destroyed.
Amen.
But it doesn't have to be now.
Oh.
There is no... Looks around as if to, he's clearly going to say something that shouldn't be said. There is no shame in fighting against the coming. We will lose, but delaying it, they do not care. The Elder Ones have no feelings in that regard.
Oh.
That is what I have learned. More tea?
Yes, please. As I consider the implications of mortal timescales against the minds of unknowable gods, would you like more sugar?
Yes.
Good. Sugar.
And we'll cut from there.
So this is what it's like at an old folks' home. I never knew.
Yes.
Ascending is amazing.
That was so good.
So let's take up with Hexatroth. Now, I believe that you have been more focused on like tracking down information and finding out about things, correct?
Yeah. I mean, that's a general term, but
Right,
yeah.
right. So one of the resources you have is Everdom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've talked with him before. And he essentially drops you a message through that Infovore network. Essentially, that set of machinery with the thing that lives inside of it that passes messages. When you go to check on it, he says that he has a tasty set of information for you, and you would follow on that. Would you have him come to your place, or would you go to meet him somewhere else?
I'll go to meet him at our usual tavern.
Okay. And this is still within your neighborhoods, a few blocks away. So people do, a little bit differently than before, give you the eye and step more carefully around you. And Everdom is there. Again, he's one of the sort of the classic black ant colonies that is there, and he will gesture with his hand, which is even undulating as he does that, gestures you over. And again, an insect voice. I'm not even going to try to do that, but just imagine that we've got that going on there, that sort of hum and buzz. And he will say, "So you and yours really did a number on the fetchers."
Hexatroth smiles at that a little bit, and he says, "What fetchers?"
Precisely. I see what you mean. I have it to understand, and this comes from questions that you and yours put forward before, that there are some objects that you might be looking for.
Indeed. Although the Twilight Gallery is, of course, always looking for objects.
Specific objects, things you've asked about.
Indeed.
Glass, crystalline objects.
Mm-hmm.
I have a line on a helmet. And what I've been told about this helmet comes from another source, that it bears a striking resemblance to a claw crystalline object that was recovered by you and yours and the Octilia group.
Interesting.
So this helmet is in the hands of the Artists Collective. And it is my understanding that they plan to auction that off.
Is that so?
Yes. Right now, as you can imagine, there are some that wish that object, and in particular, the Bonehaven seems to have been gathering capital to that end.
Mm-hmm. Is there any other major buyers that seem to be interested?
The Sisterhood of the Forge is also interested in it. Those seem to be the two that are most acutely focused.
Oof, that's going to
But
be
the
tough
I
competition.
I know. But the Bonehaven is the one that has been interacting with and speaking with the artist collective. So I think they have something of an edge.
Hmm. I see. Well then, I suppose we'll have to work out arrangements, if you will, about how we can obtain this.
That certainly seems like a likely course of action. Does that sound reasonable?
Most certainly. As always, I'm ever thankful and I must say, ever impressed by your line of work.
Well, keep your ears open if you're wandering around and you happen to hear whispers from the trash ghosts. I will be more than happy to take those and pass those along, just as a minor repayment. No debt keys, but just if you pick up anything on the side.
Oh, certainly will do. I can say there's quite a lot of resentful former guild members around.
Oh yes,
They have a lot to say and get off their chest.
excellent. And let me cut from there. Let me talk to Turiel. Let me check in with him. And then maybe we'll bring everybody back together. Does that seem fair? Turiel, what do you do outside of your workshop, outside of the guild? Is there anything that you are, involved with? I mean, we saw another Eam last week. How much of a communication is there between people of your race, of your
So
peoples?
we have we have places that we get together to talk amongst ourselves, and I actually place reports and send information back to. It's kind of like the Crystal Guild, the people who um uh study the crystals in order to bring more people over,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm kind of apprenticed to that group. So I'm doing the reason I'm so focused on my studies is to show them that I am worthy of learning the secrets of how to bring people over and give them the life crystals. So I think there are communities we tend to keep to ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and that's because no one understands what life is supposed to be like back home. So
And I think last time you were reporting in a little bit on the crystal claw and suggesting some things about that. You passed that on as sort of a warning.
Mhm.
Then you will talk with another member of your sort of extended peoples, another Eam, and let us call them Solkani. And Solkani will say, "It's interesting that you should bring this particular point to me regarding these crystals, because I have heard rumors about this, that one that we do not care for has been searching for these objects."
like a wizard.
Yes.
Mm.
You've heard his name, Beathus. It's human words, mortal words. He is a part of the museum, the Bone Gallery,
Mm.
and he has been asking very particularly around about the objects that like this. He has no
And
fear of us.
have you moved on him yet?
To move on him is moving on a guild, and we are dispersed around and about amongst the other guilds. It would require maneuvering to get our guilds to assault. Our dispersal has advantages in terms of information gathering, but it does reduce our overall power and ability to strike at any particular target. But I know that your guild is good at murdering people.
Well, um, my guild was involved in something recently. I'm not sure that they are strong enough yet to go after another target. So he definitely must be taught a lesson, though.
That would seem appropriate, though. Wizards already have a lot of knowledge, so be careful how much you give to them.
Right.
Was there anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Good. Do you think that they think that you are loyal to their guild?
Oh, of course.
Good.
I
Good.
certainly do. Yes.
Excellent.
I fooled them all. Yes.
Yes. I understand that, yes, they all have a very high sense of loyalty as an important factor.
Yes. Have I heard of this wizard before?
Yes. In fact, Beathis is one you made up at the first session. He is a wizard that has no fear of the Eam.
But he wasn't connected to the books back during the first session.
No, he was not.
Okay.
So if I'm going to hard frame, that's going to happen a bit here in this final session, and I want to essentially bring the group back with, I assume, Hexatroth having laid out the information that he's found out. Again, that meeting room, everybody's gathered there. The bear is licking the honey off of various treats that are off to the side, and trying to do it surreptitiously. But you're all there and kind of going over the info. So let's come in with Hexatroth.
So the other piece of this set of glass, crystalware, whatever you wish to call it, it seems to be auctioned off, or being auctioned off, if you will. And
sacred holy artifact. That would be sufficient as well.
the Sisterhood are interested, as is Bonehaven. And money isn't exactly something I don't think we can beat them on.
Well, we certainly have favors we could call in if money is what it took.
But also, I feel as though we don't have many options other than the auction. Any other sort of underhanded option would draw the ire of these guilds, no doubt, and I don't think we can handle this many guilds at once, especially after what we just did.
So what's your suggestion?
I suppose cultivating favors, as you said, would be our only option if we were intending to win this. But that's not my decision alone, and he looks at Vam and Turiel as well.
I think Turiel says we could always steal it, and looks at Fam.
I'm for that idea. It saves money, guys.
I said that doing so would draw the ire of these guilds, and we don't have the wherewithal to actually survive an assault from them.
It'd be extremely ill-advised. You're just calling too many enemies down on our head at once.
During a time when we have a bad reputation, which would probably draw even more people to want to take us out.
Exactly, fam. We could just go about this the legal way and gather up all of our favors and pay an exorbitant amount of money for this. It's far too dangerous to go on some sort of half-cocked stealing raid.
I understand. I will not go steal this thing, and we will go through the proper channels of currying favors and working through the bureaucracy established, and then we'll do that thing.
Oh, good. That's very reassuring because we've had a very rocky
This
time.
is a guild. This is a guild. You don't just make these decisions on your own.
I'm really confused. Aren't you guys telling me to steal it, but you want to disavow knowledge?
No.
Well,
No.
a little.
That's not what I was saying
If
at
I'm
all.
completely honest.
I was saying the total opposite.
I sort of thought
Don't
it might
steal it
happen.
at all, because we're going to get found out one way or another.
It's like maybe while we're gathering money, fam might go off and, just make this all not necessary.
We would save money. It's like pure profit with minor risk.
It's a lot of risk. All it would take is for one of these groups to think, okay, this isn't the product we bought, so let's pay an information guild to figure out who might have stolen it. Or we could look at the guild that has the other object and is the most likely candidate, and by process of elimination, we can say these people probably at least know where it is, if not stolen. We're in the hot seat at this point due to all our actions. We can't avoid scrutiny at this point.
So, what if we steal it and then place it with the Bonehaven to make it look like the Bonehaven stole it, and then they will get punished, and we can then make the cost cheaper.
Yes, they're exactly the sort of second-rate sham museum that people would believe that sort of thing about.
And we hate them. And Fame moves over and does this like sudden side hug on Turiel. You're so smart.
That's an interesting plan.
Size. Are we really digging our own grave here?
Well, you know what a grave is like, Hex. It's not so
Yeah,
bad, right?
I know one when I see it. This looks a lot like a grave.
Well, you're already dead or have been at some point. The other two barely count as life, and I do not fear death.
Ow.
But no, I did say you counted.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Let's go steal the thing.
Okay, I can't stop you, but at the very least, who are you relying on to pin the blame?
Well, there's this wizard in the Bonehaven who has been asking questions about the claw and is very interested in this other item. So I think that he would be very interested in discovering, how it just showed up in his workshop. And
So you're
the
saying we
authorities-
literally give it to him?
Oh, I'm saying he literally ends up having it at the same time that everyone finds out that he literally ends up having it. Can you do that, fam? Are you that good?
So wait,
I'm pretty sure I am.
we're gonna steal it and then give it to the other guys and then wait on them to be decimated.
We're going to steal it and make it look like the other guys have stolen it so that they are taken out of the running and we can purchase it cheaper.
Impound auctions are always cheaper than the big guild auctions.
But wait, how do we make them look like they've stolen it, but then have the thing actually still be in the auctioneer's hand?
Possession is 9/10 of the law, so whenever the authorities find out that they have it, they will be treated as thieves and claim innocence, and it will be returned to the rightful owner to then auction it off.
I'm just gonna kick back and see how you guys do this.
Oh,
This is not my forte, and this is not something I agree with, but I can clearly see that the guild desires also something else. So,
well, if I'm not mistaken, you understand the people here much better than any of the rest of us. What would you suggest otherwise?
I already said that the suggestion that would be favorable would be to try to garner favor among other guilds that are not looking to purchase it so that we could get more coin from them, enough that we could win the auction. That's what I was referring to.
But I thought you had also said that you didn't think that we could get enough coin to win the auction.
I did, and then Sig basically suggested, why don't we, tip off some of the other possible guilds and get points from them, which I think was a great idea. Until he said something else.
I'm open to many options. The future is a multi-forked tentacle path. Something it doesn't translate well.
You tried.
I am going to hard frame here because I heard a plan on the table. I heard a plan that has the possibility of all the characters being involved, from theft to knowledge gathering to verbal manipulation, since that hits on skills across the board from all of our people here. And so I think I'm going to tune you guys towards that. Because it does seem like something that we can get everybody to be, involved with, if that's okay. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to take our 5-minute break here so that I can get myself another cup of coffee, let the little wheels turn in my head, and then we'll come back with the leverage episode that you guys are about to play out. All right?
All right.
Cool. Oh, look. It's Tiny Finn Balor.
I do really like Finn Balor. I think he's very funny. And I love that outfit that he has. That it's so crazy.
Oh yeah, I love all of his just like all his various body paints and his. I obviously respect his willingness to be like, yeah, this is 2% different than the copyrighted material. I'm good.
Yes. Well, and the whole sort of Celtic war god thing he has going on is a very cool gimmick. So let me tell you how I think I'd like to proceed with this. I'd like to see if people want to do any kind of like simple, and we'll do this as a once round, legwork, setup questions, getting information kind of moment. And then we're going to roll into it, and we'll put things on scene. And the way we'll handle this is, as Blades in the Dark does, is when you get into the plan, you will have the ability to flash back to preparations that you've made or things that you've done to set up things. That's how Blades in the Dark does it. Depending on the outlandishness of it, I may charge some hit points, but otherwise we'll go with sort of Blades in the Dark style on that. Does that seem a reasonable way to do it? So we don't have a big planning phase or anything like that.
Are we healed up?
You are healed up.
Okay, that's pretty important for Sig, especially.
Yes, everybody would be healed up because we're some time between sessions here.
I would also say it's probably a good idea for we're going to use our marker on the multitude, and we're going to have them spread the information about the theft. I think it's far more credible, and they actually have expertise in spreading and gathering information.
Oh yeah. Well, when we get to step 3, I think that's we'll come to you because that's a guild that you have connections with.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Perfect. So let me ask you. I'm just gonna do a quick once around to see if there's any people you're talking to, things you're asking about, any of that kind of stuff. We'll do a kind of quick check in. Sig, is there anything that you would do? People you would talk to, things you would want to learn.
I do have some talking to people scenes as an idea for like leverage style flashbacks, but I think it'd be interesting since we're going into this thing with another piece of the armor to see what dreams of the future laid out.
Oh, let's do that. By the way, also you guys have on your guild sheet a +1 forward against the Artist Collective.
Nice. So that's plus wisdom, which is 7, 8, 9.
9. So what does that get you?
So, whenever you make camp or rest, you experience dreams of the future. Ask the GM a question and roll plus wisdom. So my question would be, what's the biggest obstacle between us and obtaining the helmet? And on a hit, the vision will answer the question, though mired in dream logic and strangeness. I would get a follow-up question if it had been a 10.
Claws in the dark. Claws in the dark. Snicker snack. Snicker snack. Claws in the dark.
Well, that's entirely upsetting. So I think that's right on the mark.
Okay, there we go. And Fam, when you're doing a thing, do you check out your target? Do you case the joint? What's your if we do a preliminary thing, what do we think we see here?
You read my not terribly complicated mind. Casing the joint is exactly what Fam would do.
Okay. So that seems like discern realities.
Okay. DR works off of wisdom, which is no longer a negative for me, my hearties. You're welcome. Did I just burn our +1 forward?
No, not unless you want to. That's because it's a guild thing. I'll let you choose when you're going to
Okay,
use
cool.
it. But I need you to tell me before you roll.
Yeah, well, I did. I just asked the question, but I already hit the
Yeah,
button. I got a
but
10
It's a
anyways.
10. So look at that. You get 3 questions, and you get +1 for when acting on the answers.
Oh, what should I be on the lookout for? Of course.
So the Artist Collective, they do have some defenses up, but they took some damage in that battle with the multitude. So actually, the thing that you're going to want to watch out for is that they've got a lot of like insect traps and things around in their place, because they've had to deal with the multitude's ritual against them, as you may remember from several sessions ago. So you want to be careful about that, because they might be like some nasty toxic stuff.
What here is not what it appears to be.
And this is, imagine we've got the Artists Collective Guild House. There's probably, they have to have a place where they show things off, where they display the pictures and paintings and the sculptures and all of that. And I assume
they're not legally allowed to call that a gallery, though. Interesting fact, just so you know.
But I assume in the picture we see Fam in a disguise, essentially like a fake mustache,
fake mustache, one of Sig's hats. Yes.
Yeah. In there, and you will notice and be able to spot, because of your keen eye as a thief, that at least one of these big paintings in the main area seems to like conceal maybe a secret passage or a secret door. So it does look like they use cleverly, artistically hidden means of moving around their place.
Nice.
Does that seem like a fair answer?
That is fair.
Okay.
And then my last question. Ooh, I'm gonna pull the audience. Should I go with who's really in control here, or what here is useful or valuable to me?
I want to see who's really in control here.
Okay. I was leaning towards that one too.
All right.
Who is really in control here? So I want to look at my little guild list here. The Artist Collective is one of the guilds that is not listed in the book, I don't think. Let me check and see here. No, it is. Okay. The person who's in charge is Ghidra. And she is a Dorvi painter and tattoo artist. But she's also from your reputation, you have those underworld connections, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know that she's kind of a con artist as well. Like, she's very good at selling people on artistic investments that probably aren't as legit as she makes them out to be.
Does that include forgeries?
Yes, it does.
Oh, well, that's some leverage we can work with.
Sweet. Fam will report 100% of that information back to the rest of the guild.
Perfect.
Nothing back.
Hexatroth, any legwork investigation thing you want to do?
Actually, this all gave Hexatroth a good idea.
Okay.
So Hexatroth is going to gather everyone together and sort of post an idea, like see if everyone feels like this is a better idea after hearing Fam's thing. So after hearing what Fam says, he tells Fam, gather everyone together in one place. I want to talk about something. So we can sort of flash to the room where we discuss everything.
Okay.
Hexatroth said, seeing that, I'm assuming Fam told everyone.
Which he said, yeah.
Yes. I have a proposal for how we're going to plant our information. instead of stealing it and giving it to another guild, what if we stole it, replaced it with a forgery, and then spread a rumor that the guild itself was trying to sell a forgery to make more money? And that they never had the real artifact the entire time.
Where would we get such a forgery?
As long as we made a convincing one. And I think Turiel knows the kind of technology we're dealing with here. Sig might even have an idea.
I'm good with glue, although sometimes I get it in my fur.
You're still growing out that patch behind your. I mean, never mind.
Or we could petition for another guild to help, but I don't think we have the markers for them.
And I think the less people who know about what's going on, the better, especially if we're
Yeah.
making a fake one.
So, what do you guys think on this? Should we try to tick the auction off as a forgery attempt, or should we go along with our original plan?
And who's running the auction again?
The Artist Collective.
They are dicks. Yeah, I could see that. Hexatroth? Or, I'm sorry, Turiel. Names.
I would prefer. I'm not certain how good of a crystalline helmet I could make that would be passed off. I would prefer to do this to also take down the Bone Haven, if possible. Place the blame elsewhere. Although your plan does not cost us as much, we do not have to purchase, the item after it goes back up for auction. We're not essentially driving the price down. We are stealing it and replacing it.
And I suppose ideally no one would know that we had it at all at the end.
Fam, what do you think?
I think I like hurting Bonehaven, but the idea of us having the item and nobody coming after us for having the item is good. Either way, I get to steal it, so...
Oh, yes. No, we're definitely leaving that in.
Okay, the stealing is good.
And here's the thing I was going to say. But you don't know what the helmet looks like. Except that Turiel, you can, because you can pull it out of Sig's dreams.
I see.
Wow. That's pretty deep.
Savage.
Okay, so it looks like we've got a shift to the plan, but it still plays off of what we've set up.
I mean, did we agree on the new plan? It seems like a 50-50 split.
Okay, Turiel, how about this plan? We go with the replacing and blaming the auction house, and then we find that wizard in an alley and punch him in the face.
And that's fine. Yes.
I think the bigger problem also was actually creating a proper forgery with our own resources.
Which is what we're coming to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We would need to do one that actually fooled the guild itself that was selling it.
So let me talk to you, Turiel. Let's come to you.
Okay.
I would say that given the setup that you've done, you can get an image of this helmet, and you've also spent some time studying the crystal.
Right.
Now, I'm going to make you an offer here to make this forgery here. I think this is something that will cost resources to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll tell you the two things you could do. You could spend 2 coin, and then you could make that roll. Or you could turn in your marker with Atelier Sunny, the alchemists, to get their assistance. It cost you no coin. It would merely cost you a marker. And they could supply the materials that you require.
I really hate to say this, but I've been thinking about it, and I feel like I should say this at some point. Didn't we spend Atelier Sunning's marker when we asked them to fight with us?
I don't think so. I think that was just an in-scene sort of because as I recall, it was just you guys talking to them, because you're both under attack.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe you spent the marker.
Okay.
That was certainly not my impression.
Okay.
No, I recall you organizing them, and organizing and setting up the defense, but I don't think a marker was spent. And besides, you use that. I mean, you negotiate about who was going to get what from the basement there. So I don't think there was any exchange of goods.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm
a little concerned about anyone else knowing what's going on. So I think I'm leaning towards the coin, and maybe I could have 2 attempts at it. I think since this is a guild resource, I think I should talk to everyone else. But tell them that's what I'm leaning towards. I don't want everyone to know about it. So how about we just spin the coin and do it ourselves?
Yeah, I agree.
I think we have more than enough expertise with these sorts of items to make a convincing fake.
I also think that a marker is well worth saving a marker in exchange for saving 2 coin. A marker is well worth 2 coin. So I'm fine spending 2 coin instead of someone else's marker.
Yeah, that would take out all of our coin. But the thing is that, maybe if, we're a little iffy on whether or not this helmet will work out, maybe we could get a second chance if it turns out horribly the first time by calling in the marker. We'll have to see.
That seems reasonable.
Yeah.
So I think that this is sort of a custom move with intelligence for you. Mm-hmm. I think on a hit, you make it. On a 10 plus, it looks perfect. On a 7 to 9, there is some flaw. It is either temporary or unstable in some way.
Okay.
Ooh, can I help?
How would you help?
Annoyingly looking over Turiel's shoulder and pointing out flaws.
I feel like the best person to help would be Sig, because Turiel is pulling the design out of his dreams.
Well, that makes so much sense. I'll still be there to annoyingly point out flaws.
Right.
I mean, we're playing with crystals. Obviously, you're there helping.
Yes, helping.
Okay.
Helping.
Yes. All right, Sig. So, do you think this is analysis? Do you think this is emotional manipulation, or do you think this is something else?
I do think it's sort of emotional manipulation, as he's just going over and over again the stakes of this and how important this is, and remember how many people will be coming after us to kill us all and make our lives miserable if this does go wrong. But more importantly, before any of them get here, I will have to scourge you with the holy flames of the undying chaotic ones for failing in the mission and the quest to gather this whole army. It's not a personal thing. I don't judge you. I find you perfectly acceptable, but they judge you and find you to be filth. Should you fail.
Let's have you roll that support, that aid action.
Did we even roll the original roll, though?
Well, I'm going to do his aid right now.
Okay.
7, 8, 9.
All right. So you're helping So you've got a +1 on this, and let's have you then roll
Okay.
there, Turiel.
I also think Turiel gets a +1 from the discern realities because we're using that information in this course of action. We're trying to make a forgery.
No,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say no. I think that +1 forward is more appropriate for the casing the joint. I mean, that was done very specifically on location. I'll give you that there, but I don't think it helps in this.
Well, at least we're going to use it.
Right. Yeah.
So I rolled an 8 plus my int is 2, so that's a 10 plus 1 from Sig is an 11.
So you've pulled this dream pattern out of Sig's head through the ring, and you've created this forged crystal skull helmet, and it looks good. It looks stable.
I think it even has some magical qualities that are beneficial. It's not the original magical qualities, of course, but this is something that is a little bit beyond what it would have been. Yeah.
What cantrip level beneficial enchantment does this helmet give?
I think it's a bonus to armor, further than what the crystal would normally be. I don't know, a +1 or something like that.
Oh, that's not cantrip level. What's a cantrip level?
I'm not sure. What are some examples?
Like it cleans your fur, or
okay.
it makes your breath smell good.
I think light.
Okay.
Yeah.
Creates
I
light.
think light shines from whoever wears it.
Okay. So, as I understand it now, the trick is to steal the object and get this helmet placed in its place, correct? Now, who among you do you think is going to be carrying that out?
I think we all know who it is. Like, did you really need to ask?
Nope, that was a rhetorical question.
Does it fit me?
Of course it does.
Oh, cool.
So it looks to me like you are breaking in to the artist collective.
Yes, Clippy. Sorry.
Okay. It looks like you're trying to steal the thing.
Sorry.
So I think that we were going to kind of use a couple of your moves here to simulate this. I think we're going to use your tricks of the trade as your kind of break-in move. And then your trap expert as sort of the second part of this. Does that seem like a fair use of your skills?
I do like it.
Okay. So we've got this knot gallery, this room that you show paintings and things off, and the larger building. Of course, it's an artist collective, so they have things like, art workshops and places where they make dyes and paints and things like that. So it's a pretty big facility, but then there's an area that's clearly sort of their inner vault. So let's have you roll your tricks of the trade. Do you want to use your +1 forward on this?
Thinking, tricks of the trade. That's a dex, and I'm going to trap expert, which is dex. I'm pretty good at both. Is there anything tricks of the trade wise I could help me with animal body? Anyone help me think of? Well, no, it's defying danger, so it probably doesn't matter.
Okay. I mean, oh yeah, defying danger.
Okay. I think I'm going to save. Yeah. I'm going to save it for trap expert.
That's so tricks of the trade. Let's have you roll.
Okay, here we go. A +2 in dex.
Yep.
All right, that is a 9. If only I'd said I'd use my +1 forward, I'd been a 9. I'd been
Wait,
a 10.
you rolled an 8.
6 and 2 is 8, is it?
Math.
What have you done?
I'm embodying fam. So
the others are out in position, kind of waiting around because it's you that has to go in to do this, but they're ready to help you if anything goes wrong. So tell me what this looks like. What's the montage we see of Fam breaking in here, getting in towards the inner vault area?
Oh, well, this is at night. So Fam, of course, approaches from an alleyway wearing a big hood. And there's a moment when, of course, we come in close and we see the glint of the crystal helmet because Fam's wearing it because it fits. And it leaves her hands free. That's what she would explain if anyone cornered on it. And yeah, she kind of drops down Mission Impossible style and like climbs in a door and pushes it. And then she's trying to climb on the walls because of all the bug traps on the ground and stuff.
Yeah. And there, there are a few artists come walking by, they're critiquing things and then there's a couple of guards and we see them come past and you slip from point to point till you get to the inner vault, and this is like a museum vault, they've got the display things in there, but it's heavily protected, gotta get in. And I think this is the point at which we have you roll your trap expert.
Cool. Sorry.
And this is a thing that you definitely, there are traps here, physical traps to prevent this.
So exciting. Her eyes are wide, and when she's moved away from the people that were giving, by the way, I think instead of a gallery, perhaps it's called a salon.
Okay.
When she's out of earshot, she she drops to the ground. She comes over, starts looking at things, and I'm definitely using my +1 here.
Okay.
All right, here we go. And I'm going to try doing real maths this time after I roll the dice, guys. I have rolled a 6 and a 1. That is a 7. My +2 dex makes it a 9, and my +1 from the +1 forward
Perfect.
makes a 10.
Look at that 3. So I think the first hold that you spend, and I'm just going to say this, will reveal the guardian that is in here.
Guardian.
Okay. And then I'll let you ask the other questions because there are some other things. But as you are kind of have moved into position to get in, you will see skulking through these rooms, this 6-foot-tall praying mantis. You will recognize it as a Reaper mantis. This is a thing they accidentally introduced to Varkith. There was this death thing that was popped up from time to time, and to get rid of it, they made these sort of mantises imbued with death because they thought it would take care of it, but that didn't work. This is an actual kind of nasty infestation problem that pops up from time to time, is these Reaper mantises, and sometimes people are able to bind them and use them as guardians, which appears to be what's going on here.
Oh. That's what... Oh. What does the trap do when it's activated?
The other thing is, so that's the physical thing. The other trap that obviously that the mantis will go to kill you if it spots you. But you will also know that there is definitely an alarm trap on where the mask is at, Indiana Jones style. When it is lifted and the weight changes, it will set off an alarm.
That's great. I like that. So what activates the Reaper mantis trap? She'll move around and kind of move around it, but not anywhere close.
Okay. It definitely does sense by motion.
That's a problem.
Well, then you might be able to, throw something to distract it.
It's true. Carrying a wall in would be a less good idea versus that one, Hexatroth. So I'll go with yours.
Now,
What else is hidden
if you
here?
if you have something that somebody has set up for you, I'm fine with somebody flashing back to preparations for this.
I like the idea, if you don't mind, of possibly you have like a pouch, and whenever you open it up, it's got bees in it. So they fly around, and all that movement kind of blinds this thing.
It's got it's a little bit of honey, which maybe we like go back and you come up with the idea, Turiel, and then a certain bugbear's like, but
With the honey.
Yeah. So you've got some kind of like enormous Varkith bees that you've brought with you. That seems a reasonable preparation for me. You suggested it, Turiel. So I want this is an aid or interfere.
Okay. So
this sounds like intelligence.
okay. And I rolled a 6 plus 2 is 7, 8.
Oh, okay. So you will get a +1 to your defy danger to move past this mantis. Does that seem like a reasonable thing there, fam?
Say again.
The bees will give you a +1 to your defy danger to get past this mantis.
That sounds very fair to me, and I would like for Sig to help me come up with animal body uses because I'm defying danger and I really need a +1 forward here. So,
well, I think it's sort of what you're saying. You're trying to stick to like the high up above the bug traps, and now you're actually hanging from the ceiling to avoid its sight lines. So I think that's your claws just like dug into the material of the ceiling.
nice.
And since it's your special ability, we'll give you that.
All right, cool. So I have a +1 forward on this defy danger from animal body. I have a +1 forward from the assistance of the bees. And I guess I'm rolling with Dex. Is that cool?
Yeah, that seems fair to me.
All right, here we go. Now I'm going to roll Snake Eyes. Everybody, here it comes. Unfortunately, I rolled a 9. So it makes it definitely a 10 plus. And so yeah.
Describe to me what we see. These darkened gallery rooms with rare paintings and objects on various places.
Salon.
The salon with this mantis, dark claw mantis moving around through it. What do we see?
So we see the tail first, kind of coming across as she's climbing from the rafters. Then she reaches down, almost drops the little piece of honeycomb with the bees on it, and then places it on top of something. And the bees all start buzzing around it, and the mantis it's too many motions. Starts going around chasing after different bees. Sorry, bees, she says, and then she climbs halfway down the wall, and then takes off the helmet and holds it in one claw, and now she's poised over the little display case. Right?
Okay.
So is it behind a locked door or something, or is it on like a little display case in this back area?
It's on a display case. I think this is you making another dexterity roll to do the switch.
Oh my. Here we go. Cat-like reflexes pay off here. I don't know.
Let's see.
It's going to be the fail roll. Okay, here we go. Oh, that is a 6. Luckily, I have a dex of +2 dex bonus, so that makes it an 8.
This is our first mixed success in this whole string.
It is. Yeah. This sounds good.
You've got, I'm going to give you 2 options. Either you put it on there, okay, but it's going to shift in a little bit and the arm is going to go off. It's not going to go off immediately, so it's going to give you some room. Or the mantis is going to pick up on that movement and get a swack at you.
I'll take the swack.
Yeah.
All right. So you're fast and you do that switch. And you're like, yes, but you have to move fast. You have to move quick. It takes your whole body motion. And that's the point at which the mantis kind of is close by and it does that swing. and it does a D10 plus 2 damage.
Oh, goodness gracious. I am wearing leather armor.
It is
so
piercing.
oh, cheese and crackers.
They don't call them Reapers for nothing.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. It's true. At least I don't have to do the black gate immediately. Here we go. Oh, jeez, that's a 7. Plus 2 is a 9. Ow. Ow.
So it is messy. So I mean, this is not a clean wound on you. But that's, I mean, the bees are still there. So it hits you and then keeps moving over to deal with the bees. But you're now bleeding.
Yeah.
That's going to leave a trail. That is not good.
Yeah, that's not good at all. So she's going to drop down to the ground and rip off a piece of her. Let's see, yeah, it's just a piece of her cloak, like slice a piece of her cloak and then use it to kind of start mopping up the blood. And then she'll try to hold her wound together and see if she's licking her hand there for a moment there, and she will try to hold the wound in her back and try to limp out of there with the actual mask, hopefully. Oh, and grabbing the piece of honey, because that's also
evidence. So I'm going to do this as tricks of the trade. This seems like a thiefly action, so I want to use that again.
All right, here we go. Hopefully last roll before I die. Here we go. That is an 11 plus 2, 13.
Oh, you guys, you're killing me.
You gave us 5 rolls.
Yeah. You should have had more fails.
One of those should have been terrible with her running out wearing the mask, having weird dreams.
So we do this shot, and by the way, this mask does not feel good. Like that claw thing, it feels weird to you. But do you put it on?
Yeah, well, yes. I need my hands free.
Okay.
Plus, it looks good on me.
Get that blood mopped up. Grab that honey. Leap up. Come back the way you came. Get out. I assume land by Hexatroth out in the street. Hexatroth, you can see that Fam is badly wounded, but has this crystal mask on.
Yeah, I'm going to pull out my last use of bandages and try to bandage her up so the bleeding minimizes and she doesn't have to use her hands.
Oh.
I'm also going to advise that if we are making it, if any of this leaves a possible trail that we missed, we start walking toward the Bone Haven first, and then when the bleeding stops, we make our way to our place, so that even if they think the thing is stolen, possibly, any evidence wouldn't lead towards our guild.
I like that scry trail thing. Okay.
And I have an idea for like cleaning up evidence and stuff inside.
Sure.
Oh, you do?
So I think this is one of those flashback things. And I think there's a janitor that works here, a Visliga janitor in the not gallery. What is it?
Salon.
Salon. The very expensive art salon. And I think he's like out drinking the night before, and Sig finds him in a bar and gets a quiet moment to try some inquisition.
Okay. Let's so what do you think this is? Yeah, this is Inquisition.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is charisma.
Okay, let's have you roll.
Yeah, and also that one. Then you hit that. Then it yells at you angrily, but that's still an 8.
And so you get a hold.
And so that's all I really need, which is the NPC will willfully ignore all evidence that an event of your choice ever happened. The event being that he would be scheduled to work today.
Okay.
And so as Fam is like sneaking, running out the hallways, sort of bleeding and dropping fur places and, like claw marks in the ceiling, there's just like in a sort of tan janitor's outfit with a little cap and the tentacles coming down, there's just Sig with his head down and a mop and a bucket, and he's just sort of like whistling wetly and tunelessly as he goes down the hallway, just mopping everything clean. Sort of nods his cap at people as they walk by.
Yeah, Visliga all look the same to these people. I mean, they don't understand the physique, and they and they probably don't even look at the janitorial staff that much. But yeah, get it cleaned up, mopped out, and you guys have the helmet. Tell me, what is it about the helmet, fam, that makes you not want to take it off?
Well, first of all, it looks really nice on me, just like the fake one, but nicer. And everyone seems to be happier. Like, they just look better. Even Hex, like, it's kind of a rosy shade to his bones. And
yeah, for some reason, this mask certainly filters and makes everything look awesome.
Yeah, I think Fan would super be into looking and touching Turiel with the helmet vision.
So Turiel, what does she see of you that's different when she looks at you through the helmet?
Oh, whenever she looks at me through the helmet, she clearly sees, even through the clothing, the gem that is the soul of where I keep it. And it's very, very pretty and enticing.
I'm going to rip your heart out.
I think all everyone else sees is Fan kind of reaching out and like almost fondling Turiel, like, what's that?
Are we at our guild by this point, by the way?
Yeah, we'll assume you guys have made it back to the guild, having left that scry trail with Sig having cleaned up and clocked out for the night as the janitor.
Hexatroth having bandaged the wound so it wouldn't bleed anymore.
Yeah.
Thank you. You would think that this would hurt my ears, but the helmet actually is very comfortable. There's some kind of padding in here. I didn't see it before, but I feel it.
By the way, also, I'm sorry, on the side thing, add 4 HP, because that's what the bandage also does.
Oh, thank you. Yay.
So you're at 10.
Back double digits.
But yeah, it's like, so do you feel anything weird, unusual about it?
No, I'm just really elated that we pulled this off. And I like this helmet a lot.
So why are you grabbing at Turiel?
Oh, it's cute. It's so cute. In her chest is like a different thing. It's like a doll with a little doll inside it.
Are you sure you don't feel a deep spiritual malaise and the burning of blatant heresy or anything like that?
And Fan reaches up and just touches one of your tentacles and just runs her. It's cute when you talk like that.
I don't understand what's happening.
I think Hexatroth at this point is gonna try to pull out his book and start looking through his songs. He finds one in particular, and he starts singing a sort of siren-like melody with it. And he's going to try to use his arcane art, which one of the effects is the mind is shaken clear of 1 enchantment.
Nice.
And so go ahead and roll charisma.
I rolled a 7, and the thing about that is that I just pumped up my charisma to a 3 last session.
Nice. So, fam,
I also get 2 things. So, because of my Eldritch Tones. So this may or may not happen, but the next time someone aids Fam, they give her a +2 instead of a +1.
Nice.
Sweet.
So, Fam, one of the things is the more you wear the helmet, the more it makes everything look great. Like Hexatroth looks very normal. The bugbear looks like it has beautiful, glossy fur. All the rooms and the pillows look plush. The food that's out before you is sort of glistening with beautiful, moistness and everything. And then that song comes up, and it'll all kind of dim back down to reality for you.
Aw. Okay. Well,
And now it's hurting your ears.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'll take off the helmet.
Hexatroth like holds his hand out, expectantly.
Yeah, I hand it over to Hex.
Closes his book in one hand, puts it back in. So how you feel now? He says, holding the helmet.
I feel normal. I was mind controlled. Etrigan used to do it to me. It sucks.
Like the weight of heresy is dragging your soul downwards.
Pretty much like that. It's terrible.
Yes.
And she reaches back over to fondle your tentacle again, but then pulls her hand back.
Can we all make a vote here that nobody in the guild is allowed to put this helmet on?
Yeah,
There's an awkward silence.
I think you're right. I think we need to keep this in a different vault than where we have the claw.
Are you sure? I don't think we have another vault as secure as that one.
Probably.
Well, there is that trunk in the attic.
That's, well, I guess no one looks there. But
Exactly.
I wouldn't want the people cleaning up to find that thing.
I mean,
By
there's
accident.
paperwork from the owners before the last owners of this building over that thing.
I'll say this. Our vault is already crazy and warped enough. With the amount of items we have, I don't think adding this one more is going to change that.
We'll be sure to put that on your tombstone.
Sure thing.
So,
but I already have a tombstone somewhere, so you're going to have to find that one first and change it.
So we'll assume that the mask helmet is secured away somewhere after some discussion, and so let me ask you this: are you attending the auction, or are you setting up work to suggest the counterfeiting beforehand? How are you doing that sort of?
We're doing both. We need to have representatives there to seem like we're buyers at the auction.
Okay.
We also are going to. Hexatroth is going to. I was thinking I'm going to play out how he sort of turns in the marker at his normal
Let's
way.
do that. That sounds good.
So Hexatroth, calls in his friend over Everdum, and he goes in and sits down with him. And with sort of a blank look, he says, not blank look, but says, you didn't hear it from me, but I heard that the Artist Collective may be up to something. That crown, I don't think it's what it seems.
And is that something?
He says that sliding the marker under his hand.
Words to the wise. In the ear. There we go. I understand. And he'll reach out that hand of ants. It'll kind of swarm over this, and he'll pull that back. Say, how loud?
Rumors. I've heard some rumors.
Okay. We can do that. And within the next couple of days, you'll start getting that sort of, we know the Artist Collective is doing this auction, but, their boss is sort of weird. And there's, she had, maybe a con artist, and people are talking about Ghidra, and the rumors start kind of rolling out on this.
Yeah. That this might just be another scam, sort of, to get money for. Yeah.
So I assume all four of you attend the auction then, right?
Yeah.
I'm certainly there.
Okay. So there probably is a guild of auctioneers that oversee these kinds of things, that do that. And they've got all the chairs set out. So there's a reception. People are kind of dressed nicely. We will see then representatives from some of the other guilds, in particular the ones that you're worried about, are the Bonehaven. You will see some of their people there. They give you the eye, of course, because you have crossed paths. And Turiel, we've established that Bythus knows you, right? That was established early on.
Yes.
And he's one of those Hallgroth, the ones with the forearms and the vestigial arms. So he will approach you. You'll also see, just to put, there are a few other groups that are here, lesser, kind of looking into things. But of course, you'll see the Sisterhood of the Forge. They are a wealthier order, and they're crafters and so on, and they clearly have some interest in this object. They have a Visliga amongst them who seems to be leading this auction phase. Though this guy notably avoids you, Sig. We'll come back to that in a second. Turiel, what do you do if Beathis approaches you?
I think I grow in stature. So the Yim can actually shape change a little bit.
Yep.
And this is just to look a little bit more intimidating when confronted with him. And I think that I let the displeasure of his presence kind of show on my face.
Turiel, it has been some time.
And that's a good thing.
Yes. I see that you are still intact.
Yes. As are all of your limbs.
Yes, they are. What brings you here to this?
I suspect it is the same thing as what brings you here, which is this fascinating crystal artifact. We would all give a great chance to study it.
Yes. I would like to obtain another one of this set, so it would be most excellent.
I understand.
There's much to be learned from this, much to be learned, many secrets about crystals.
But I'm not sure you can understand it fully.
I think you should tell yourself that when you rest. Not worry at all about me.
I think that's true.
Ta. He will step away. Sig? What are you doing here? I mean, people are mingling. There's, the food tray, that kind of thing. But this Visliga is kind of avoiding you.
I think I've got to keep up good appearances because, some people at least, it's obvious, do know about us and the Claw and are interested in these sorts of things. So I think I'm circling and politely chatting with people / threatening their body and soul and future livelihood should they win a particular auction, of which we don't need to talk about, and we certainly wouldn't go into the details of such unpleasant mutilations and the amount of blood that might be involved here in polite society.
That seems fair. So you're kind of attempting to make people nervous.
A bit of preaching, a bit of like threatening that obviously we're going to win that auction, so other people shouldn't even try.
Okay. That seems good. I don't think we need to necessarily roll for that, but you're certainly positioning yourself in the fiction like you guys definitely want the object, even though you know it's fake.
But I do think, like, as I'm circling the room and doing that, maybe I notice that other guy, and it just becomes like, as the conversations go on, I'm less and less looking at the people that I'm threatening and sort of like half-heartedly coming up with violence to their being or whatever. And then I'm just staring at this guy the whole time as I'm circling the room.
And he definitely notices that and definitely moves over to the rest of the sisterhood group and kind of steps away, not like scared, but more like doesn't want to get into it with you.
It's just entirely coincidental that he's always on the opposite side of the room from me.
Exactly. Fam, what do we see of you at these upscale things?
Well, these upscale things often have snacks. So there's a bit of moving around the tables and gathering a lot of snacks and extra snacks and a couple of plates and stacking plates on top of plates to get more snacks. Then probably just working the room.
Look at all these wealthy people.
Yeah, I don't think. Okay, yeah, maybe she's
money purses and
oh gosh, that seems interesting.
Look at that.
Pretty nice jewelry.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. So she's wearing these earrings that she didn't come in wearing. They look good. Her ears aren't pierced.
You just got them.
They're just kind of on, like stuck in the fur. So if she turns her head too fast, they'll go flying.
Okay.
It's probably a bad idea. Yeah. Her general plan is to just enjoy this. She's done her hard work. These are the smart people. That's why she's part of a guild. If they need her to do a thing, she'll do the thing.
And let me come to Hex. Hex, what's your strategy in this sort of this early mingling days?
So Hexatroth is actually more counting the money that he has, and considering the coin that we don't have any coin as the guild, he put in a sort of an arrangement with Everdum where he said, give us 2 coin, we'll give you a marker as collateral. If we somehow win the bid by accident, like by accident or by purpose or whatever, you keep the marker. If we still have the 2 coin by the end of the day, I will meet you by the end of the day, give you the 2 coin, you give me the marker back.
So you've already turned in your marker on the info gathering. So
Yeah,
let me have you parlay. Let me have you parlay on this.
All right. Yeah. This is more of a like collateral arrangement so that I have something for show.
Let's have you roll.
I rolled a 7 again. I know it's a 7 again because I saw the dice change.
Oh yeah. So yeah, they'll agree. They'll front you.
Just to clarify, that's a 10.
I know.
Okay.
I can add.
Right.
So
sorry.
You will be given those coins, the big ones, the jade pieces, and they do it in such a way that it looks more voluminous. So you look like you have a big money bag, a big money purse to work with.
Right. And the transaction does look like I'm giving them a actual marker for this, and I am giving them an actual marker. What is said behind closed doors is that this is more of a collateral deal.
Oh yeah.
That the marker and the money return.
Yep. So, no, that seems fair. That was what you established as the terms of what you wanted. So with a 10 plus, absolutely, you can get exactly that.
Okay.
So they will call people forward. essentially there's going to be a chance to look at the stuff, and then they're going to do the actual auction itself. And they will bring out the items. And so you will see them bring out things. There's some auctioneer people that are sort of, security. They bring them out. There's some of the holograph, the big forearms, and they put the skull out there, and more mingling. And you will see the different groups start to approach and examine the helmet.
Are people allowed to touch it, or is it just look?
Just look.
Okay.
Let me ask you, Turiel. Who is it that actually kind of first notices the scam here? First notices the fake? Is it Beathus? Is it someone from the Sisterhood, or is it a third party?
I think it's the Vizsliga from the Sisterhood.
Okay.
That's doing the analysis.
So Beathus is looking at some of the other objects, sort of distracted, and you will see, Patrick, you'll see that's Vizsliga approach some of the Sisterhood with him. And he comes over, and you see him, as you would, stop to set and meditate, and he even does some of the gestures of your order to kind of attune to this object. And when he does so, the object's magic activates that you guys put on it, so it emits light. And the Vizsliga goes and begins to talk with the others, clearly upset, clearly this is not the thing, this is a fake, talking, and you will see Beathus will note that magic and kind of move up and look at it, and kind of backs away, goes to talk to his people. They're like, okay, well, obviously we're not going to pay anything for this, blah, 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 blah. The Sisterhood do not seem nearly as calm about this. And you will see and it's a sizable group of the Sisterhood here. And you will see that Vizsliga move over to where the Artist Collective people are. Remember, there's some bad blood between these two groups already. And it looks like you will hear an argument begin between the two of them. Essentially, the Vizsliga is accusing them of fraudulence, of chicanery, of monkey shines, of all that sort of thing, in colorful terms. And that's starting to build up. Like, the other people of the Artist Collective start to gather, and the Sisterhood gathers, and that argument begins. What do you guys want to do?
So, as the argument gets louder and louder, I'm going to move over that way and start to interpose myself here on the thing of whoa, wait. Are the Sisterhood trying to make spurious claims about this holy artifact to try and lower the price? Are they trying to pull some sort of wool over the eyes? The Artist Collective is a respected and time-honored salon. And I won't stand for this sort of... Look, here, there's a very simple method. I am a Templar of the Ancient Ones and the Sunken Temple. I can perform a simple ritual rather than the charlatan magic that this man was pulling, and I can determine once and for all here that this is the genuine artifact worthy of going into the Holy Visliga temples.
And he turns to you and goes, I know the rituals. I am of the order. I have already done so, but your second opinion, as misguided as it is, will be fine.
I will happily offer my first opinion. I have not made any others. How could this be my second?
That's not what I meant.
Yes, well.
You know it.
And I'm going to go up and do probably very similar looking rituals, but ending in a similar result and shock and awe of, what is this trash?
So as they're kind of gathering around, more of the Artist Collective people, more of the Sisterhood, what are the other three of you doing as you know what's going to happen here in just a moment? Fam.
Oh, man. So many people we could take a pot shot at. I'm trying to figure out who's here that I hate. I don't think there's any.
All of them?
Yeah.
Literally all of them?
Oof. I'm going to hang by Hexatroth. He's usually really smart, and I'll see who he targets, and I'll he's good with the polite society, so I've got his back. I put down a bunch of my food, and I shoved some other pieces in my mouth really fast, so my cheeks puff, but I'm good to go.
Okay. So you know that this is coming. You know that Sig is going to light the match here in a moment. Is there anything you're doing in setup, Hexatroth? You're muted. You're still muted.
Oh no!
No, I was actually muted this time. I was actually muted. It's good. It's good. I was just saying, I'm not sure how much worse this can get. So I realized there's one element missing. There is no Bonehaven in this argument. And so I think that's the one thing missing from this.
You want to try and kind of push them into the sitch?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me how you would do that.
Anyone have any suggestions? Because actually, I'm not certain how I would do that.
Yeah, I think I can point out to you that the wizard with the Bonehaven, the whatever his name was, but something, he is a know-it-all, and he would love to tell you more about the crystals, about the crystal helmet and what all it should be doing. So,
that sounds good.
All right, let's have you roll charisma to kind of draw him in on this using that knowledge.
Yeah, so I'm going to sort of go about saying, I know the helmet, but tell me, what is its normal enchantments that it normally goes about doing?
Perfect. That's a great lead in. He'll start talking to you about that, and approach closer so that he's kind of in the mix as this whole thing is going down. Roll charisma.
Okay. 11.
Look at that. Yeah, you get him in position. He is up there when this is all going to get down. And Turiel, are you doing anything?
Yes, I'm going to argue with the wizard during this whole process and debate him. I'm going to spout lore about this thing and about this crystalline helmet, and basically tell him where points where he's wrong or a little bit inaccurate.
Okay. So kind of holding his position there?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's have you roll with your intelligence.
Okay. So that's the 7 plus 9, plus I get another bonus. So let me look and see. +1 on going to spout lore.
Okay. So here is what I want to do. Things are set up. Sig is gonna like this match. Your guild has worked to set up this thing to cause problems to the other guild. So I think I want you to roll a guild roll. This is basically to determine the level of stuff that goes down with your influence, which is a +1. So, fam, you haven't rolled in this moment, in this scene. I'm going to make you roll.
Oh, no. I've rolled so well, guys. You know how mechanics work and dice and probabilities. I rolled a 5 after my +1 from the guild. Sorry. You knew it was coming. Sorry.
Is it possible we can aid this?
Tell me how. How would you what are you sacrificing to make this roll better?
Well, I think the whole role is about escalating things.
Okay.
And overall, we're all trying to work to escalate this. So I think when it comes to the sisterhood, you have Sig sort of ramping things up. When it comes to the Bonehaven, me and Turiel ramping things up. I think that would, if I'm aiding it, it would probably be telling the wizard, like, look, not only is the Artist Collective challenging your knowledge on what this thing is by having a different enchantment on it, they're actively trying to swindle your money.
Okay. Let me think here. Because you're at, what, a 5 right now?
But I have the enchantment.
Right, but this is sort of, we're doing this kind of a meta roll here.
Okay, then.
So
all
I'm
right, never mind
like
that.
this. I will tell you what. If you spend one of your markers, tell me how you've used that marker to assist. I think you can push it up a result.
I think we only have like one marker. And it's for a frick to frickin' silver.
No, you have it. Okay, didn't use it till you're Sunny.
We didn't, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say Atelier Sunny. We had one of their potions that sort of induced anger or made things a little more, if you will. How should I say this?
On the edge. Oh, so you've spiked the punch.
Yeah, I've spiked the punch.
Okay. So you spiked punch. So everyone's temperament is up. Everyone is on edge here.
Like if people would be on a 3, they're on a 5.
Okay. So then let me look. Let me talk to the other people then. Let me ask this. We've got these forces, these groups at odds. Who is going to take the brunt of this? Who is going to suffer in what is about to go down? Is it the Artist Collective? Is it the Sisterhood? Or is it the Bonehaven?
I think it's...
Well, hang on, Ruben, you've been talking a bit. Let me have other people... Let me pull the rest of the table, okay?
Sure thing.
Yeah. No, sorry, I didn't want me to cut you off, but I want to...
No, someone has to shut me up eventually.
What do you think, Turiel? Who's your vote for?
I think we're all arguing amongst each other, but I think it's the Artist Collective who takes the brunt of, this being a forgery.
I see some nods there. So, Sig, what is the thing that sets everything off? What is the gesture? What is the moment? What happens that sets the brawl going?
I think it's basically me getting up and starting to do the implacable faith, preaching about the heresy and the theft that has gone on here, which is having some good effect. But then, like, that other Visliga stands up on a slightly higher chair on the other side of the room and starts preaching his death and destruction. And so I get up on a table and I'm like yelling back at him, and we just have this ongoing preaching war that's just whipping the crowd up.
And I imagine at some point someone knocks the helmet off, and it will fall and hit the floor and shatter. And there'll be that moment when everyone pauses.
Just a strobe light disco flash going off.
Yes. And that's the point at which blades come out, tables get flipped, the stabbing ensues, and it just breaks out into a brawl. The auctioneer guild here, they're trying to calm things down. They're trying to push people outside, but they will have their hands full. Probably within a few minutes, because of the size of this, as it breaks out, there are things going on. I imagine that Beathus, the mage that you don't care for, gets shanked in the middle of this, Turiel. I imagine that this riot, that the building breakdown riot, that within a few minutes you will see some of the Jade Throats come, the Guardians of Varkith, probably with one of the Eidolons, the great sort of spectral figures that they use to quell big things. And it's just this Orcari with this sort of green painted throat and this giant figure that will just reach into the building spectrally and start pulling people out and tossing them around. By that point, I imagine that you guys have cheesed it.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, they will grab this Eidolon, just kind of comes down, pulling people apart. The Jade Throats are grabbing people. They've probably spent, calling in the law keepers as well. And I imagine over the next week, we will hear the rumblings of people, calling in suit against the Artist Collective and checking and rechecking items. And we see that war. And of course, the Bonehaven being very upset because one of their mages was badly wounded in the battle. And it will just absolutely kind of change the landscape for a bit. Does that seem fair? But you guys have the helmet, and it is beautiful, and it is crystal.
And we are absolved of any blame.
Exactly. No one points a finger at you. With all your 11s, 10s, 12s, 13s that you have today, no one points a finger at you.
This has turned out better than we could have ever hoped. We started off this session afraid that we would get our asses handed to us by two separate guilds, and now the Artist Collective is shitting itself because it's getting its ass handed to it by two separate guilds.
And
it's
you can certainly,
almost like divine providence.
So let's do a little epilogue bit, from each of you, if you don't mind. So Hexatroth, in the aftermath of this, or what do we see of you? What's the epilogue we see? And it doesn't have to be right here. It can be in the future. What do we see of Hexatroth?
So with all these wars going on, Hexatroth finds a lot more income of unsatisfied spirits going on, and spirits that are severely resentful of their guild's choices and the guilds of others. And so he's finding himself making frequent trips to graveyards as people are buried, getting new dirt on all these guilds, dishing it out to Everdom, and slowly but surely planting roots in certain other guilds where their dead former members have been selling them out because they're so hurt by this war.
That seems perfect. A ghostly information dealer. Turiel, what about you? What's the epilogue we see from you?
I think what we do is we see kind of a more intimate moment with Fan. And this is the conversation where Turiel says, well, you know more about me than others, and you've seen the crystal. This is where my soul is protected. So if things go poorly for me, I trust you to take this crystal and keep it safe.
Always.
Yes.
I like that. Long pause there in that scene. Sig, what is your epilogue bit?
So I think Sig is out on the sort of edges of Varkith, right up on the sea, is sort of like promontory that goes out to the sea. it's coming on evening, and there's a storm whipping up, and the waves get higher and higher as they crash into the rock. And I think there's a particularly like big wave that crashes up against the rock. Water goes flying in the air. Lightning strikes at just the right dramatic moment there. And as the light fades and the water comes down, like there in front of Sig is that other Visliga standing there silently, stoically, impressively, whatever. And Sig looks up from his meditations. And says, I am Sigital Saach, Templar of Varkith, and emissary of the Dreaming Gods. I have been here working for their purposes. I have been preparing the way for them here in this city. Now, who the fuck are you?
Okay.
I think it just cuts.
Perfect. And Fam, what's our epilogue bit from Fam?
So it's just like a half-formed idea, but it's pretty quick. So if it's bad, it's over soon. I think that the last thing we see from Fam is Fam comes up to the workshop where Turiel normally works, and Turiel's laying on, she's in some kind of resting phase. And Fam just watches for the longest moment. And there's the music of like, oh, there's some kind of connection there. And then she slowly opens the door, creeps inside. And then she leans down to a couple of little companions and gently guides them out the door and runs away with them.
Oh, nice. Brilliant. Thank you very much. I love that, Fam.
It was so good.
So I would like to, if it's okay with you, that's the end of this. I would like to do this in kind of two rounds. I'd like to have you highlight things you liked in the game or other people's play. I'd like to go around and do that, and then I'd like to talk about what you would have liked to have seen more of, or things you had questions about in terms of Varkith. You know, not negatives necessarily, but stuff that you wonder about, kind of in that way. So let me go reverse order since I made you do that. Rich, what did you like? What do you want to point at as things that you dug this session, or things as a whole, if there is anything?
The first thing that I like, and I may have mentioned this before, but I'll just highlight again in case I'm repeating myself. I love that Varkith calls different species of player characters peoples instead of races. That bothers the crap out of me. I'm also a person who freaks out about it.
It calls them races. That's
what?
Me.
You call them peoples?
I
it
call
calls
them
them races?
Yeah.
So Lowell, I love that you chose to call them peoples. I think that it's so much more comfortable to me to think of them as peoples.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that you work on the second edition of the Green Law of Varkith. This is made as a companion to Dungeon World Second Edition. So, if you do that, then that'd be great. But I really enjoyed the guild level of this game as far as how it would drive play. There was so much interesting stuff that you helped to create a really vibrant fiction. It felt like a city that had a lot of moving parts, and we could pick and choose as we will. And I like that a lot. I also really enjoyed Turiel, Stephen. It was super fun to see you delve into that character, and I'm really glad that we were able to learn a bit more about her and in this last session.
Yeah,
there was a lot of good stuff, but those were probably my quick highlights off the top of my head.
Yeah, I will say I wasn't sure how this guild thing would work, but I'm very happy with it. It's a great toolbox. I'm really happy with that. Patrick, things you want to point at that you liked in particular?
I love this. This is the by far my favorite game of Dungeon World that I've played, just because it's de-emphasizing some of the like, let's go crawling through dungeons and fighting off traps and monsters and sort of stuff that's like baked into Dungeon World, and doing a lot more interesting social dynamics. I love a crazy magic city. I love all these races that they've come up with. And yeah, I liked the chaos of it. I liked how the guild turns, like just through random chance, there were enough things that hit in a coherent sort of way each time we did a guild turn, that it started to build this randomly generated coherent narrative. Like there are always some roles on the chart that are like, oh, this guild is doing that thing over there or whatever, who knows what's going on there. But there were enough of them that started to randomly stack up in the right places, or things that you or we could interpret in the right way. That was really cool. I also loved the sort of like turn in my thinking with this character. Like if this were a long-term campaign, I like that there was this arc where I'm playing a very, like I said, Discworld Terry Pratchett, silly sort of contradictory character. But then as soon as like the specter of the apocalypse went from sometime in the future to maybe it's next week, like I totally had to reevaluate how I was approaching the character, what I thought about them. Like, do I want to stay totally true to what I've conceived of the character and go into a role-playing zone that I'm not entirely sure I want to go to? Or how do I want to delicately negotiate, like, changing his core tenets and beliefs that made him a Templar sort of thing? So I really enjoyed that thought experiment and the sort of hints that we got of it this time. I also really enjoyed Fam. Like Rich, that she was just awesome. She was cat-like. She was the perfect I'm just gonna do it thief. Like cat or no, just that sort of like I see something glittering and I'm gonna dive out this window to get it. Is just it's a game impulse that I love. It's a niche that I often fill in games, so it's always like it's sort of giddy making when I see someone else doing it.
Thank you so much.
Nice. Stephen, things you want to point at?
So I really liked, when we first started, I really liked going through the whole list of different peoples, and I was like, this is really cool. I like the idea behind it, and the selection of the different playbooks, the alternate playbooks, was also really nice. So, and I don't, I'll attribute this to the players as well, that each of the characters stood out as being very strong and very different from something you would normally see in a Dungeon World game. And I think some of that's due to the selection of peoples. I think some of that's due to the world and the way that it's built, but I think a lot of it's due to the players as well.
Nice. And finally, Ruben, want to point to anything you dug, that you're particularly interested in, things that you found good?
Yeah, I want to say that I really liked how at the very beginning of this session, I mean, on the campaign or whatever, you asked us to make an NPC that we're allied with or we like or something like that, and one that doesn't like us or we don't like or something like that. That just shaped the story so well, and it was just such a simple ask of us. And in the end, it was ingenious, I felt like. It was an ingenious thing to add. So small, yet affected every session. And as for the party, I gotta say, like, everyone did amazing. If I had to, one thing that struck me and my character was I loved Sig's unyielding, faith exploration. I was just constantly spitting it out, no matter what the situation. It didn't matter when it was. It didn't matter where it was. None of that mattered. He would just do it anywhere and everywhere. And I loved how it just like sort of polarized with my character. Like he's trying to be reasonable and says like, no, this thing is a holy artifact. Do you not understand? It's like, I loved the unyielding nature of that. That's what I liked.
Good. I want to point to that kind of playing off what you said. You guys gave me good material in that first session. You gave me good stuff. I mean, you were coming in cold. It's first session. You haven't had a chance to really build your characters, and yet it gave me good resources. And I hit a lot of those NPCs because they were good, and I appreciate that. I think having good players like yourselves that give me material to work with as a GM is really important. I want to go back reverse order, and maybe ask if there was things you might have wanted to see more of, or things you might have wanted to see done differently, that kind of thing. I will we'll say my piece on this is, if I were going to do this again with Dungeon World, I might go and look at the playbooks and see how I could do not full hacks, not big stuff, but tweaks to make some of the character classes really fit with Varkith. Because there's some things that you do in an urban game that are really interesting, that I think some of the moves could be shifted a little bit to play into more. And so that would be one thing I would do if I were to go back. Ruben, things you would have wanted to see more of, things you weren't sure about. Let me hear that.
What I would have liked to see more of, and maybe people agree or not, but I liked how in the first session we sort of met that bugbear, and we sort of had a little adventure with him, and he became a staple in our guild. I would have liked to have other people sort of recruited and coming along and add their own flavor to the guild along with the bugbear. It sort of stopped there, but it would have been cute. It would have been cool if we had maybe one or two more of those guys. That's just me.
Okay, no, that's a great point. Things that you liked and would have liked to see more of. That's super fair. Anything else?
Maybe there are some things, but I'll just leave it there for now.
Okay,
honestly, I think that's fine.
Sure, Steven, anything?
There's something that I'm not sure it's fully formed in my head, but there's something about the guild moves and all of that so it was a lot easier for me to pick up the guild moves and the kinds of things that happen in this than it was in Blades in the Dark. Blades in the Dark is very dense and different. And in this case, I think the part that kind of got to me was something along the lines of a break in the action. For example, like whenever you play a game that has like a day and a night phase, that seems to flow pretty easily. In Blades in the Dark, you step out and you start talking about like in this case, you start talking about guild moves and you start talking about things that kind of step you out of character and out of the story a little bit to kind of meta decide what's going on.
Yeah.
Now, I think you handled it really well. Like back in the case whenever we were dealing with a big guild event, we stepped out and we did handle it in character. And like in this case, you did the opposite during this session, where there was something in character and you stepped in and did, a roll via guild move. And I think that that's a good way to handle it. But there's something about using the separate phase of guild phases that steps you out of the character a little bit.
Yeah, no, and that's something actually Rich and I have talked about before, that question of flow and where you've got different segments of the game. So yeah, I think that's a really good thing. I think Varkith does it better than a lot of games where I've seen that in, but yeah, there definitely is that switch, the day-night phase. Yeah. Patrick?
My cheaty complaint is that it's such a deep setting and complicated stories that we're setting up, that I would have loved to see it go longer, explore more of what's going on. Not necessarily to like finish the deep one storyline or finish a particular storyline, but just to see like how things continued on, how they got more and more complex, what else is out there in the city. As far as like really picky Dungeon World mechanical stuff, I have a lot of like problems and quirks with how Dungeon World combats come off. They tend to be pretty repetitive or sloggy for a PBTA game. And I think one thing that can really shake that up is the monster moves,
Mm-hmm.
like on that 7 to 9 hack and slash area, not always just coming back with take XDX of damage, coming back with like they destroy something, or they cut off a limb, or they poison you no roll, or things. They're like automatic monster move things.
Yeah.
And I think varying some of that in can help with the repetitiveness of hack and slash, basically.
Yeah, you know, there was a discussion on the Slack just recently about that, and about having non-hit point based consequences for some of the things, and that was certainly has kind of made me go, okay, yeah, I need to be doing that. And having run masks recently, where there are villain moves that are triggered, and I need to think about it in terms of that. I went very vanilla on the combat, but now I have a sense of how it flows. So yeah, I need to.
Well, it's there's a lot of moving parts here to get used to, and the hit point damage definitely has its place. Like when this time when Fam was taking damage for one of her things, like calling out something like a D10 plus 5, or like take 2d6 plus 8 or whatever, like that could be a really impactful fictional moment of like, oh fuck, what's gonna happen? But it's nice to have variation. That's all.
No, that's great. That is good insight, especially for Dungeon World. Rich, I'm going to give you last word. I'm going to say one more thing. If I have another regret, it's that I didn't get Jubilant, that Visliga Paladin on the table or earlier on in earlier sessions, because I really like doing that character voice.
Oh, Ascendant?
Ascendant, yeah, thank you.
He was amazing. He was so good, Lowell. That scene was everything.
It was so good. For me, it's so much fun to do that character. So, Rich, last word.
Cool. So I will completely agree with Patrick. Like, I wish there were more sessions of this, because it's a vibrant setting. I really like Varkith. It's super interesting. So that's a thorn to you, Lowell, for only offering 5 sessions. So there's this other thing. I think coming into the game, I didn't understand how hard, Patrick, you were going to play into the idea of Sig, like everything's about death, like. And I saw the pivot like starting last session, and like it became tough around second, third session to interface with Sig, because like I wanted to pull some humanity out of the character earlier, and Fam like always just bounced off, and I was like, oh, this stinks, because like I really like Sig as a concept, but like the responses became almost a block in a way. Like Fam felt discouraged, like, oh, this is, I know how Sig is, but I can't help. And I love the choice of changing the flags. I think that was really, really sharp. I wish that it had happened before 5th session, because we had so much other stuff that we wanted to hit. So that's, I hope that makes sense.
No, that totally makes sense. Okay. And I definitely think, like I said, I had a very light, high-level grasp on the concept through a lot of it, and it was just the accumulation of like weird feelings in certain scenes that led me towards, in this last one, like I do need to readdress how I'm coming at this character.
And it was super good. Like I felt like the tilt, like I said, it started last session, but it was definitely hard here, and like I'm really glad we got to see it. It was fascinating as a development for that character. It's also a thing of like, well, we need 5 more sessions so we can see post dramatic change. The other 5 rolls to do that thing, I felt super selfish. Like I was like, oh God, how can I share more of this? But like it kept doing the thief rolls, and I really felt like I was stealing too much spotlight. So I'm sorry. I probably, maybe I could have like asked for more flashbacks or something. I don't know. It felt weird in the 5th session. I'm like taking up so much. And
well, I mean, if you'd been really giving, Rich, you would have rolled worse.
I tried to actually do poor math, but you guys saw the same dice I did and do math.
I think that's a fair assessment. I don't think it's nearly as long as you think it is. Because I was kind of watching the time. I mean, it was a chunk.
It was pretty zippy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I felt like at least I was able to do back scenes and that kind of stuff and get some interaction. So I thought it was okay. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Because I just was super conscious of that. And then the last thing is Is this a thorn? I don't know. There were points where I was like, this guild stuff is really deep, and it's like the stuff that I would want out of Blades, but Blades doesn't give breathing room. But I still wanted more like interaction with Turiel. I still wanted some more like Hexatraw just shooting the shit with Fam about a thing and just regaling a tale. I still wanted more like maybe a dark rainstorm and Sig and Fam getting sopping wet and Sig talking about the doom of all mankind. Like I wanted more personal moments mixed within, but I'm selfish and kind of pitiful in that way that's always what I want. And
no, I think that's a fair thing. I mean, I think that Varkith better than Blades has spaces to do that in.
Yeah,
but I think the 5 sessions and the kind of pushing towards things doesn't. I mean, it's a kind of a nice long campaign set of things.
Yeah, but I had a great time.
Good.
That's not a thorn. It's just a thing.
I do like with the guild turn pacing as opposed to like Blades, where Blades is very prescriptive of like you do this much and then you do a guild thing, then you do this much and do a guild thing. Here it was more like a storyline refresher.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we get to the point where we've sort of played out the current dramas and we're sort of at loose ends of where to go next, I think that guild turn is a great like refresh of, oh, these are a whole bunch new threads, and then we can follow them as long as we want to until we start to run dry again. Then so it's not like you have to do one every session or whatever.
Right. Here's another thing I'll point out that's really a strength for me of Varkith is Brendan makes it very clear in the rules that stuff you do in sort of the downtime things, the play sessions, the in between guild turns, you can do stuff that'll raise your stats. Like you can do that. If the players do something that's cool that would build their stats up, they can do that. Which is nice. It's not just an accumulation of XP or anything like that. That there are ways to do that. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate you taking a chance on this and playing Dungeon World with me. And I hope to play with all of you again. And it was very cool. Ruben, it was good to play with you. First time I've had a chance to do that. So much appreciated. All of you have a good week. This is Gen Con week for me. So this is about to get really, really crazy. Steven, maybe I will see you down there.
Yep, we'll try it. Okay. I'm usually very packed up during Gen Con, but very packed, game after game after game. But yeah.
Okay.
You're going to be at the Magpie booth at some point, right?
I will be at in the Magpie room where they're running at most of the time.
Okay.
Yeah. So, all right. I will talk with you.
Good luck, both of you. Stay healthy.
Yes. Concrud. All right. I'm going to stop the broadcast.